I try to get these to start at the same time, but anyway. Coming to you live. Coming to you live from Music City, USA, aka Nashville, Tennessee. This is the ALLAnal Podcast with Sebastian Starr. Stay there. I'm your host, Sebastian Starr, and today we're going to be discussing the early 2000s girl group 3LW. Now, I'm honestly not crazy about the concept of doing this episode, but I said I was going to do it, so I'm going to do it. It's consistency at this point that I'm striving for. So, for those of you who may or may not be aware, the early 2000s girl group 3LW, which consists of Keely Williams, Adrienne Bailon, and Naturi Naughton, was established in the early 2000s, late 1990s, as a three-part trio that kind of followed the wave of like Destiny's Child and things like that. As a matter of fact, I was just doing a little bit of Googling, and correct me if I'm wrong, Keely Williams is the niece of Michelle Williams. And actually, they were even considering having Alicia Keys be a part of this group at one point. But obviously, a lot of things started to fall apart and things started to unravel as the success of the group kind of rose to fame. So I wanted to talk I wanted to talk mostly about their music, but I obviously can't discuss their career without discussing the drama that comes attached to it. So, over the course of their career, they have had a total of 3 albums. This is clarified for reference. And one of those albums, oh God. Okay, so I was on my Apple Music last week doing a little bit of research on their music and their albums. And Keely Williams and Adrienne Bailon released a Christmas album back in 2022. The internet will say it came out in 2002, but according to my research, it came out in 2022. It's called Naughty or Nice. I'm not going to hold you. I couldn't even listen to it. It wasn't good. It wasn't good. And it's weird, right? It's very weird how they tried to continue on with this 3-part legacy with just 2 people. And then the fallout of how it happened just seems very bizarre to me. So according to Wikipedia, because that was the only source that I could find that was probably relevant enough to get the information that I needed about them. So Keely Williams and Adrienne Bailon, they were like the superstars of the group, right? They were the ones who shined the brightest. They got the most attention, and they pushed out more vocal tracks than maybe Naturi Naughton did. Now, this isn't to say that Naturi Naughton didn't contribute to the group's success, because obviously after she left the group, essentially there wasn't any group anymore, right? So according to Naughton, she was having a lot of conflicts from the beginning with Keely and Adrienne, just feeling like she was getting unfair treatment. Keely and Adrienne will swear up and down that there was nothing weird or suspicious going on with the treatment that they were all receiving. They were all receiving equal treatment, but they did feel like Naturi did not want to do the group. So she was a slacker. She didn't pull her own weight. She was kind of, laid back too much, and it just caused a lot of tension between the 3 of them as a whole. And apparently there was also some tension with the management team. After their second album, which is called A Girl Can Mac, which is a terrible name for an album. After the release of their second album was when Naughton decided that she didn't want to be in the group anymore, and she left. They immediately scrambled to find a replacement. They found this girl named Jessica Benson. Couldn't find anything really on her as far as who she was or how she contributed to the band's success, but they tried with her for a couple of more years, re-recording a lot of their songs with her in the mix and just trying to pull a Destiny's Child, ironically, and, sweep Naughton under the rug and put Jessica in her place. And obviously that didn't work. So in 2002, 2003, Adrienne and Keely went on to do the Cheetah Girls with Raven-Symoné. And that's pretty much where their career took off from at that point. They were no longer 3LW. They just associated themselves as the Cheetah Girls from that point moving forward. And that's pretty much how everybody knows them now. I mean, of course, Keely Williams and Adrienne Bailon are still out here trying to maintain some form of relevance. What am I trying to say? Keely Williams and Adrienne Bailon are still trying to maintain their status socially. But ironically enough, I think Naturi Naughton has had a better career outcome than either of them, either separated or combined. If you don't know, Naturi Naughton, she was in the Notorious B.I.G. movie. She played Lil' Kim. She was in Power. She played Ghost's wife. And, you know, she continues to make music and do movies and television. And they're big productions. They're really, really, really big concepts that she's starring in. And when you think about Adrienne Bailon and Keely Williams' careers, it's very B-list, very C-list. Like, you still know them. They're still relevant. They still do what they do. But it's not on the same level as Naturi was. So for them to accuse her of slacking off and not being passionate about what they're doing as a trio and blaming her essentially for their lack of success after the fact, it's a little ironic. So with all of that being the case, it's kind of hard to look back on those nostalgic moments when you listen to the music and feel connected, because that trio was just a mirage. It was just an illusion. Like, nothing about it was authentic or genuine in any form or fashion. And seeing where they are now as adults is just hilariously ironic to me. So with all of that happened, with 3LW kind of trying to follow up with Destiny's Child, trying to pull a Destiny's Child, and it failing miserably. Again, this Christmas album that came out with in 2022, I can't get myself to listen to it. I can't. I tried. I promise you I tried. It's just not good. And with that, I did listen to their second album on Girl Can Mac, and let me tell you, I didn't like that either. I listened to that from start to finish, and I really tried to give it the benefit of the doubt, but it just wasn't working. So with all of that being the case, let's dive into their first album, self-titled album, 3LW. It came out in 2000, toward the end of the year 2000, and it had a lot of hits on it that really put a stamp on who 3LW was for that time period. Because again, in the early 2000s, the spike for girl groups and boy bands was at an all-time high. You're rising from that wave of the 90s with like New Edition, Boyz II Men, and then you got like the poppier boy bands like NSYNC and gosh, I'm gonna lose my train of thought, Backstreet Boys, and you kind of want to keep that wave going because you see the success in it. You see how popular it can be. So the 2000s was a very special time in music when it came to boy bands and girl groups because that's what people wanted. And 3LW, again, had so much potential to be great. They just had a lot of internal problems that caused them to fall out ultimately. So if we're starting at the tippity top of the list for songs from the 3LW album, you have No More, which is probably their most popular song. Keely Williams is infamous for putting that innocent and childlike lisp on her opening line of the song. And I also didn't know that she was rapping in the song, which again, it's kind of goes against the grain when you have someone you have a 3-part song, but you have one person doing 2 of the 3 parts. It seems like excessive and maybe a little unnecessary, because if you have 3 people, they should take turns doing it, because that's the fairness, that's the equivalence of the track itself is to have it be fair. So again, they were accusing her of not being passionate enough and slacking off and not really wanting to do it, but you're not really giving her an opportunity to shine. So Keely Williams comes in with the first verse, right? All of them are joined in on the chorus. And then you have Adrienne coming in on the second verse, which they really thought they thought that they was doing something with this song. And then you have Adrienne doing like a little break, and then Keely comes in again to the third verse. But you would think at some point they would have Naturi doing something solo dolo style, but that was never the case. Oh my gosh, stay still. Right there. That was never the case. So it's kind of ironic that they would accuse her of that when they never really gave her the opportunity to showcase herself. Now, the song No More, again, is the most popular song, and it's simple. It's the lyrics are very, very simple. All the lyrics and all the songs are very, very simple. But throughout the album, there's a lot of contradictions. So No More is like, oh, you playing me, I'm getting tired of it, you lying about where you're going and who you're spending your time with and what you're doing without me and blah, blah, blah. I'm sick of it. I don't want to deal with that no more, right? Is You Feeling Me is like the complete opposite of No More. It's like, dude, I like you. You know that I'm, what's going on? Are you feeling me the way that I'm feeling you? Or is this just on one side of the street? So very straight to the point, very deliberate. And again, there's not really any room for anyone other than Keely and Adrian on the song. And I feel like if we're comparing them to Destiny's Child, right? Because that was what the whole shebang bang was about. You would put Adrian in a Beyonce situation, and you would put Keely in a Kelly Rowland situation, and then you would put Naturi in a Michelle Williams situation. Ironically enough, Michelle Williams is the auntie of Keely Williams, so you would think that she would want fairness amongst all three of the girls because she would know firsthand experience what that feels like to be outcasted, whether it's because the other girls don't think you can sing, or they just don't like you, or the public is like, she's the weakest link, she's the not so pretty one, she's the not so passionate one. You would want to kill all of those accusations immediately. So the fact that they never really gave her that platform is ironic to me. Now, she did have her own verse in Play Is Gonna Play, which is the third track of the album. She comes in on the first verse, and her voice, you can hear it immediately. It's obvious. Keely Williams has a very soft and baby-like singing voice. Adrian has more of a passionate and, vibrato voice. It's very, very strong and dominant. But Naturi's voice is very, very deep. It's very, very hollow, and it's very, very strong. So when she sings, it's like almost like a powerhouse. And that can be intimidating, especially if you're as young as they were, doing all of this. They were like 14, 15 years old, by the way. Like, they were babies doing 3LW for the first time. So for them to immediately have this pent-up aggression against each other rather than coming together the way they were supposed to is hella ironic. I don't think that Naturi was the weak link when it came to vocals, but I do think that when you break down the track list, it's clear that they did not give her a pedestal unless they felt like they could use her as a secret surprise tool at some point to kind of boost whatever song it was that they were trying to sing. Which brings us to the next one. Fourth track on the album is called Getting Too Heavy. This song is about being peer pressured into having sex. Okay. You're 14, 15 years old. You're experimenting with your love life, with your relationship, with people that you might be attracted to physically. You got hormones rushing through your body. All of that I can excuse. And even delaying a message to your fans, like, it's not okay for someone to make you feel like you're obligated to give yourself to them physically just because they tell you that they love you or that you're special or that you're different. Whatever. All of that is cool. All of that is cool. But then we get like 4 tracks down to a song called Curious, which is saying that you want to experiment with sex. So you go from being like, it's getting too heavy for me, as in, this is too much. You're peer pressuring me into doing something that I really don't want to do. I have to really think about it. I'm not ready. And you want me to be ready before I'm ready. And I don't like that. To, hey, I'm kind of curious as to how, and it's just like, what the hell? So it's this weird contradiction thing that happens at some point in the beginning and then toward the end of the album. And it's not a long album. The album's not that long. It's just a couple of songs, but it's not weird, but you also, I guess, have that conflict of, okay, well, these are teenage girls. They're going to go back and forth. Whatever. It just seems like, when you put together a project that is catering to teenage girls in the early 2000s and it's sung by other teenage girls, obviously they're going to have someone that they can look up to, relate to, and relay their, feelings to. So having those 2 songs on the same album just seems very, very contradictory to me. After Getting Too Heavy, it's a song called I'm Gonna Make You Miss Me. And I'm running through these very, very quickly because I have to get to the second album, and Lord Jesus have mercy. I'm Gonna Make You Miss Me is just like, after the breakup. You done moved on with your new girl, and she's not on my level. She's not on me. She ain't where I am, in any way, shape, or form. And if I wanted you, I could have you just by snapping my fingers. And that's the cockiness that the popular girls have. Like, oh, he's going to leave me for so-and-so? Okay, well, watch him crawl back to me in like a couple of days. You know what I mean? You have that arrogance, that narcissistic play on, being the it girl to even your ex-boyfriend. And it's very, very childish, which is fitting because, again, these are children that we're discussing here. After I'm Gonna Make You Miss Me is Not This Time. And again, it's another, I caught you cheating on me. Like, it's the... And hold on, I'm sorry. Wait. Hold on, I have to look up the lyrics to this one. I'm so sorry. Keely Williams was the rapper. Make that make sense, please. Somebody, anybody. Keely Williams was the rapper in the 3LW. She was the one doing all of the rapping. And it looks like, I'm looking at the lyrics right now, she did most of the singing in this goddamn song. So, oh God, hold on, I have to find it. Okay, I got it right here. Wait. She really thought she was doing something. So, oh my God, hold on. Because I have to remind myself, this came out in the year 2000. Nothing about this is good. It's like a joke. It's like a joke. The third verse of Not This Time is Keely. Hold on, I can't do it. It's Keely Williams rapping. I'm not going to go to the flow. I'm just going to recite the words. Once again, my lyrics are powered by Genius.com. This is not a promo. I'm just using their site because I trust their judgment. So if I get the lyrics wrong, you can just blame them. She says, can't believe you did me wrong. I should have known, so now I'm gone. All the things I did for you, all the things you put me through, telling me you want to stay with me while all along he was playing me. But all the games are going to stop this time. It worked before, but not this time. That's the whole rap verse of the song. Now, what's making me laugh is the delivery. It's very like, oh, so you think you better than me? Like, it's so cocky and arrogant and childish and stupid and, oh my God, because she really thought, like, you didn't say anything special. You didn't talk bad about this guy. You didn't call him out his name. You didn't do nothing extravagant. But that delivery, you punching in on how you felt. And it's very, very simple. I don't know who wrote the music for 3LW, especially for this first album, but they need to be under investigation because and again, they're 14, 15 years old. They're not supposed to be up there doing incredible shit. But I've seen 13-year-olds, 12-year-olds write way better verses than this. And you know that it's just the girls playing a role. They're being, I'm not going to say controlled or manipulated, but they're being placed in an environment, in a setting where everyone is making a decision for them. All they got to do is show up to work. I get that. But I cannot get over the fact that she delivered that verse like she was in a rap battle. And it was the most cliche attempt of like a hardcore, I'm going to get back at you. And it's not that. It's the most simplest thing in the world. And then the music is so like, dun, dun, dun. And it's just like, bro, chill the fuck out, please. I can't. Keely Williams as a rapper is hilarious because she doesn't give rapper to me. Keely Williams is like the equivalent to a 5-year-old toddler entering a rap beef with a bunch of 20-year-olds, and the 20-year-olds are like, yeah, man, you got it. And then the 5-year-old is just saying like their ABCs. Like, it's not, I'm going to give you some applause to boost up your self-esteem and maybe stroke your ego a little bit. But deep down inside, I know for a fact that you are not doing anything special. It's only special to you. You are the only person who thinks that you are doing something worth praising. But because I don't want to hurt your feelings, because you're an itty bitty baby, I'm going to give you a round of applause. An A for effort, if you will. A participation trophy is the most that you're going to get from me. That is what I think of Keely Williams as a rapper. And it's not even to be mean. It's just to be real. Because how many times have you heard Keely Williams rapping on anything and thought, damn, she was spitting? Never. You never heard that ever in your life. And I refuse. Oh my God. I refuse to do anything else other than just be completely blunt and honest about that. Like, it's not there. You're not giving what you think you gave. I'm sorry. Continuing on. After Not This Time is probably my favorite song off of the album, which is More Than Friends. More Than Friends is pretty much what it sounds like. You got a crush on a guy and he only sees you as his buddy. You know, you're one of the bros. You're his sister. And you looking at it like, bro, I know everything about you. You're my best friend. I can't help it if I caught feelings for you. And, you know, if there's anything that I can do to show you that I'm deserving of whatever this is, then I'll be willing to do that. And obviously that's not going to happen, but I can dream, can't I? You know, it's one of those types of songs. It's very, very cute, especially if you're in like middle school, going into high school, and you've been best friends with somebody for a really, really long time, and you accidentally catch feelings. It happens. It absolutely happens. And I think that's a better representation of how middle school, high school life works. You catch feelings for one of your best friends, and later on down the line, you're going to realize, you know what, that was crazy. What the fuck was I thinking? Me and you, please. But when you're 14... that's the only thing that makes sense. Because not only is this person kind and truthful and you know, polite and generous towards you, but they also tolerate your company better than most people around that time, especially if you're like an awkward 14 or like a timid 14 and you really don't have a lot of friends like that. Anybody that you can just buddy up with, you're going to grow emotionally attached to. And that's usually where your first crush comes in. That's usually how that works out. So yeah, that makes sense. After More Than Friends is Curious, which we've already talked about Curious. I'm going to keep going. After Curious, it's Till I Say So. Now, Till I Say So is one of those songs. And I just remembered. Okay, because Keely Williams was rapping this one too. I got to go back to it. I got to get it. Okay, so Till I Say So is another song that has a Keely Williams verse, and I'm probably going to wear you the fuck out with all of, oh my God, with all the Keely Williams rap verses, because let me tell you how bad they are. They're bad. And this one's a little bit better. This one's a little bit better, but it's still like, girl, you are not giving what it gave. And you really thought that you was doing something with this delivery. Oh my God, I got it right here. I got it right here. I'm not even gonna. Jesus Christ, I can't. So, sit there, please. So Till I Say So is like, okay, we're on the opposite side of the spectrum. So if More Than Friends was, I'm a girl who has a crush on you, you really not really into me like that, you just see me as a friend. Till I Say So is the other way around. So you're somebody who has a crush on me, I'm not really feeling you like that, but if you are patient and if you know, give it some time, the main line of the song is, you can't fast forward till I say so. So it's like I'm trying to pump the brakes, you trying to put it in drive and put the pedal to the metal, whatever. Just relax, right? So that's pretty much the whole premise of the song. And again, I can't stop laughing. We have Keely Williams. We have Keely Williams rapping. Why did they do this to her? Why? And here's my thing. I'm going to stop. Before I even dive into the goddamn verse, why, out of the three of them, did they make Keely Williams the rapper? You can argue that she was supposed to originally be the star of the group. She was supposed to be the it girl of the group. They made that extremely clear from the very beginning, right? Adrienne, though, has a better singing voice. She has much more range. And her voice is a little bit more powerful than Keely's is. And of course, we have Naturi, who honestly was the hidden gem of this group. And again, once she left, they completely fell apart. They weren't even 3LW anymore. They were the Cheetah Girls. Now they were owned by Disney. Now they have to do whatever Disney says. And they rolled that way for like 10, 12 years. And that's all they have to go off of at that point is just the Cheetah Girls and what little success they had in the window of 3LW and what it used to be. But whoever told Keely Williams, I think you should rap this. you gonna rap today. Like, stop. Because this is worse than the other. Okay, let me just dive into the lyrics really, really quickly. This is Till I Say So. Oh, God, I can't even read it. She said, yo, baby, you're dangerous. You and your crew want to hang with us, maybe, but you be acting so shady. You done picked the wrong ladies. It be Keely, T, and AG. Baby, you feeling that? You want to bring that back? You ain't getting that. I'm saying, though, no getting close till I say so. Take a step back, yo, lay low. Little women get them pesos from them stage shows. Whoa, you don't know, now you do. I'm telling you to stand off. Sorry to cut your plans off. Look all you want, but hands off. Now, that one was a little bit better. Lyrically, it was a little bit better. There was a lot more construct there. Can you stay? Can you stay? Can you stay? Thank you. There was a lot more construct there lyrically. It's a lot more going on as far as directly delivering your lines and being, insertive. But again, someone wrote this for her. She didn't sit down in the studio and write down, little women get them pesos. No, you don't. First of all, stop. Second of all, it's her fucking delivery. And it's going to be her delivery every single time. Because she sounds like, holy crap. She sounds like a toddler. She sounds like a baby who's just learning how to speak. And their words are still kind of mushed and mumbled together. Like she sounds, and then the delivery on this song in particular, it was way too quick. She's speaking way too fast. Her voice is way too high in pitch. And it's really, really hard to understand what she's saying. But she thought she ate. And she didn't write the lyrics to this verse. So technically whoever wrote it for her did. Because I know she didn't. Because if you're in an early R&B group and you're 14 years old, you might be able to tell the producers and the writers in the room, hey, this is what I'm going through in high school, but you're not going to a regular high school. You know what I mean? You're either homeschooled or you have a private tutor or you go to a private school. You're not experiencing the things that regular people in life are experiencing. And that's okay because you're on a different level than they are status-wise. So none of that is fucking true. And again, it's always going to be the delivery. You just don't sound, I'm not convinced that you really do what you're doing. That you really do what you say you're doing based off of how you're saying it to me. It's like one of those guys who, walks around with the nice clothes and watches and jewelry and he's drinking this really, really fine scotch or whatever the fuck rich niggas drink. And you think he has it all figured out. Internally, he has to drive this fake machine to convince himself that he's worthy of all those things, and then put on a costume, a mask, like a clown, and parade himself around so that everyone else thinks that he's just as important as he thinks he should be. When the reality is, he's struggling to even look the part. You're not convincing me by telling me over and over again that you're that guy. Just because you have all of this stuff, that doesn't mean anything. And she's not convincing me that she's really out here doing what she says that she's doing in this verse just because she delivers it in a very tactical and assertive way. That's not how you convince me that this is actually what's going on. But I digress. The next song on the album is Crush on You, which again, I got a crush on you, and I'm not supposed to because you're off limits, and if my dad found out, he would get so mad at me, and I just can't help it. You're just so this and that, and I'm going to take my chance, and blah, blah, blah. It's your typical, they have the same, every single song on this album is the same. they have the same songs on here about 5 times each. You have your breakup songs, your I'm tired of this song. So that's like No More and I'm gonna make you miss me and not this time and everything like that. You have Crush on You and Till I Say So and More Than Friends, which is all the same song. You have Is You Feeling Me and Players Gonna Play. Well, Is You Feeling Me and Players Gonna Play are 2 different types of songs, but you get my point. This album is the same message being relayed over and over again 2 or 3 different ways. The only song that is even slightly different, and it's going to be the last one I talk about before I go into the second album, it's called Ocean, and it's right after Crush on You. This is probably the best song that they have vocally. It incorporates all 3 of their vocal skills in a beautiful harmonic trio. And originally, my sister had used this song for a Father's Day video like 10 years ago. So whenever I hear it, that's what I associate it with. But listening to it and understanding the lyrics, it's actually a gospel song. It is a song about praising the Lord. It's a song about praising the Lord. And darn this thing. And if you don't make that connection right away, that's totally fine. Because again, she was using it as a song to homage to our Father. But the lyrics can really tell you a lot about what something means and how it works. So I'm pulling up the lyrics here. The first verse: He who stands by me through the stormy weather, through good times and bad, always there for me, takes me to the water and quenches my thirst, my sweet inspiration, I want to say. And then this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful 3-point harmony comes in for the chorus. Your love is an ocean, wide as the skies, a comfort to me. Time after time, your precious love fills up my cup, touches my soul. The second verse: He who knows me better than no man on earth, guides me to the mountains, witness my rebirth, makes me feel so worthy to belong to him. I treasure my commitment, and it's because, and then the chorus completes again. And then we have a little breakdown by Adrian, of course, because who else would it be? When I think of your love, a ray of hope shines through and shatters the darkness I face. Erase all the doubts and the fears that chase, and guides me to your heavenly place. Okay? And then we have the last little bit, which is Naturi, and she does a fantastic job with this ballad, by the way. I know you'll always be there through thick and thin. I know I can depend on you through thick and thin. You comfort me with loving arms through thick and thin. He's mine. Now, you can take a lot away from that, and a lot of it's pretty obvious, but yeah, they're talking about God. They're talking about praising and giving themselves to a higher power who they are devoted to, who they are loyal to, who they respect, who they love, who they cherish, who they treasure. And in return, this higher power protects them, loves them, nurtures them, feeds their souls, feeds their bodies, quenches their minds and spirit, and this overwhelming praise to that higher power and that higher being. And then the music is very dark, not dark in a spooky way, but dark in like a mesmerizing way. It's not eerie, like creepy, but it's emotional. It brings everything kind of together, and it's very, very deep, and it's very, very passionate, and it's a very beautiful song. Now, the other 4 tracks are just remixes and bonus tracks that I don't even want to get into. And with that, we're going to dive right into A Girl Can Mac. Now, I'm not going to break this album down track for track because, to be honest, it's not even worth doing. And maybe I'm just a little biased. Maybe knowing what I know, and I knew a little bit of why the group broke up and how it all kind of transpired, but I never really dove into the details until, I started to do this podcast episode about them. But it just makes it hard to support a group of people who are just bigoted towards someone for literally no reason. And a lot of people blame it on colorism because Naturi is dark skinned and Keely and Adrian are both light skinned, and she's not as pretty because of that, or whatever the case may be, which is a lie. It's a bold-faced lie. But whatever the real reason is, I don't want no parts of it. So with that, I just wrote, oh God. I just wrote a couple of highlight notes about A Girl Can Mac. This was the last album they did before they broke off to do the Cheetah Girls. So again, Naturi left before this album was officially released. They tried to scramble to find a third girl. It didn't work. So they went and did the Cheetah Girls the following year. This album, I described it as a bad movie that no one ever watched. It's like the terrible sequel to a perfectly good first movie. 3LW's first album was a good movie, a cult classic, if you will. But then somebody came along and said, hey, let's make a part 2 to this. And we're going to use the same cast and everything's going to be great. And then you drop that movie and no one goes to go see it. No one likes it. No one watches it. It's awful. It's distasteful. It's unnecessary. My biggest issues from the album A Girl Can Mac is the inappropriate lyrics for girls between the ages of 15 and 16. So mind you, they were 14, 15 when 3LW came out. 15, 16 the following year when A Girl Can Mac came out. And I just don't think that they should have been so overtly explicit sexually at 15, 16, maybe 18, if you're really into that shit. But 15, 16, you shouldn't be talking about sex this much. You should not be talking about sex this much. And I know that that's ironic and kind of, you know, what's the word that I'm looking for? I can't think of the word right now. Because you had groups like Pretty Ricky that came out in like 2005, 2006. And they were catering to 16, 17, 18-year-old girls. And that's all they talked about was sex. But it sounds weird coming from, you were just curious last year and now you're just out here doing shit. And it's just like, when did we move that quickly from these innocent girls to these overly sexualized young ladies? And then it dawned on me that, and I don't want to sound like anything other than myself when I say this, but A Girl Can Mac was also co-produced by P. Diddy. So maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know, but that would make a little bit more sense. This album did have a lot of features. Lil Wayne, Lil Kim, ironically, because again, Naturi Naughton goes on to play Lil Kim in the Notorious B.I.G. Biopic. So I think that's hilarious. And then it sounded like Trey Songz was on one of these songs, just as like a backup vocal type of situation. And it was just bad. It was just bad. Now, like I said, I listened to the whole thing from start to finish, and I was actually out and about ripping and running yesterday, and I heard a song from this album playing over the loudspeaker of whatever store I was in. So I was like, I gotta talk about it. It's a sign from the universe, and I'm never one to ignore signs from the universe. And man, oh man, was that album not good. It just wasn't good. But in a nutshell, in a crosshair, that is my entire spiel on the 3LW rise and fall. Again, I just felt like it was something to talk about, and I'm happy to talk about it. So thank you for tuning in. For those who did, I always absolutely appreciate it. And until next time, I will speak to you all later. There's that.